hyperglycemic condition, meaning you have too much sugar in the blood. But if your body's not producing insulin, then eventually your blood's gonna get low blood sugar. Like if you haven't eaten, because that's what's gonna make the body release the insulin is you eating to change that fat or change those sugars or glucose to energy. Okay, so if you don't eat, then your blood is lacking sugar in it, and that's how you become hypoglycemic by not having low blood sugar. Okay, so that's why it's so important that they eat, because when you hypoglycemic, you can the acute complication can come along real fast. Okay.
Which is even the hypo, it's worse.
The hypo is worse. Hypo, that's why I say if you hypo, those onset of complications can come on you real quick, and you can be a fast downward spiral. Okay, and I'm coming to that actually on the next slide. Okay, the pancreas says I'm not ill. My pancreas is just lazy. I thought that was pretty funny. Okay.
So I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So in that case, if that person don't eat, they lacking of sugar. So if they only drink sugar stuff, is that helping?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're putting sugar back in the blood because you're hypoglycemic. Just like a lot of people. Just to take it a little further, I know speaking of keto, a lot of people you're doing the keto diet, meaning that they're letting when you don't eat, and then like keto diet is kind of like you're not eating sugar at all, right?
Yeah.
I don't know much about it, but
Carbs and sugar,
okay,
yeah.
sugar, a lot of sugars and carbs. So what you're doing is letting you're not putting sugar in your body to use as energy. So in that case, your liver is going to produce ketones. You don't have the presence because you have to get the energy from somewhere. So now your liver is going to produce ketones, so that now that it can use the fat as energy. So that's the whole purpose of doing the keto diet. I believe, I don't do the keto diet, but I believe that's the purpose, is to burn fat. Use the fat as energy and not the sugars, and not the sugar as energy. Okay.
I did this.
You did that?
For 3 weeks,
Mhm.
and it was horrible. I used to, when I feel
It's
my
not for
blood
everybody.
sugar goes down, I used to take those tablets, glucose for the diabetic people. It used to make me feel good, but I stopped it. It didn't work. 3 weeks, it was miserable.
Huh?
There's a keto
It's bad.
food, like,
Really?
Very bad.
yeah, that's what they
Not
say they go
everybody
through
wants to.
because, like.
It can bring a lot of complications doing the keto diet. It can, because having too many ketones in your body is not good as well. But let me get back on subject, guys. I just was talking about ketones in this hard, so that's what I was talking about that. So diabetic ketoacidosis, also known as DKA, you'll see that on your requisition a lot, is an acute complication that results from insufficient insulin and hyperglycemia, and more common in type 1 diabetics. That's the main thing I want you to know. Diabetic ketoacidosis is more common in type 1 diabetics. Okay. So, in order for you to notice somebody that is, because of the high level of sugar in the blood, one physical feature of diabetic ketoacidosis is sweet smelling breath. I mean, I'm not that close to patients to be sniffing their breath, but I don't know. Have anybody experienced that? I don't know. You smell it?
Mhm.
Okay. So our hyperglycemic, hyperosmotic, non-ketonic syndrome or a coma are related to type 2 diabetes. I want you guys to know that, okay? It's typically the result to severe dehydration and can occur rapidly. Okay. In cases of suspected hypoglycemia, again, guys, this is, remember I told you yesterday, I gave my patient candy. Maybe not, should have done that, not sure, but I wanted her to be all right. So some employers may advise the sonographer provide a sugary snack, while others strictly prohibit this practice.
What?
I have to figure out what it is here. I still don't know whether that was acceptable or not. So definitely you want to get with your place of employment and find out if that practice acceptable to give. I know with us personally, we're not allowed to give inpatients and ER patients anything. I don't care, even if it's water, even if it's ice. We're not allowed to give inpatients and ER patients, anything. But outpatients, you know, I know we're more flexible. Like if they need some water, if they need, you know, something, I know we're able to do that for them. Okay? Just like if you go give blood, they usually give you something sugary or sweet after you give blood, right? Like cookies, I know they're real big on cookies after blood. So we have to figure out whether we can get that official here or not. Okay? If a patient faints, follow emergency response procedures for syncope. All right? And again, don't leave this patient alone. Don't be afraid to ask for help, okay? So, some types of emergency requiring immediate CPR. You must be alert of the signs and symptoms of cardiac arrest, respiratory arrest, and airway obstruction. Cardiac arrest should not be confused with a heart attack. Cardiac arrest is the sudden cessation of the heart's pumping function, while a heart attack is the loss of blood supply to one part of the heart. Okay, so know those differences. Usually, if you see arrest, respiratory arrest, I know the definition both starts with cessation or stopping of the heart pumping function. Respiratory arrest, stopping of the breathing function via loss of lung function. Okay. In all situations requiring CPR, you should perform BLS as soon as emergency assistance is notified. Everybody know what BLS is. I think I said it yesterday, but
Basic life support.
life support.
basic life support, guys. I would say the difference between CPR and BLS, because CPR is in the BLS course. I want to say the BLS is more of a healthcare kind of training. CPR is more of a anybody, you know, it depends. It just depends. I know with most healthcare systems, they call it basic life support. You know, but you know, if a regular person did it off the street, they'll be going to CPR class. So I think it's just BLS is more of a healthcare provider kind of deal. Okay, guys, be aware of a DNR order, do not resuscitate order, which is part of the patient's advanced healthcare directive. Guys, only way you won't do CPR, you know, is if you know that that person has a DNR order. If you don't know, then we're always going to provide basic life support or CPR for that patient. Okay? We're always going to do what's called a full code on that patient if you don't know, if they don't have a written order for do not resuscitate. Okay?
Can I ask you something?
Yes, ma'am.
You have a question in the book that says, what should the sonographer do in case of the patient has no DNR? So that means you follow the protocol, right? You
Yeah.
can't do anything from there.
What should the sonographer do in the case of a patient who has a DNR? You follow the protocol for DNR, meaning we're not going to provide basic life support.
Yeah.
But if you don't know, if you're unsure, then you're going to do CPR regardless.
So you don't
Because
call it code at all? You didn't have the
doesn't the book say?
A lot of times, no. If you know they have a DNR, then you won't. But if you don't know, then you're going to call it code regardless.
If you know that they.
If I know, then I won't. I'll get in contact with because you'll be wasting time, right? Because they're coming to save lives. So don't do that if you know they have a DNR. Get with that person's nurse, you know, and let them know. But we're just ultrasound techs. A lot of times, unless we're in somebody's chart, we don't know if they have a DNR or not. So a lot of times we're going to be calling for a code because unless you know beforehand, that's the only way you will won't do life.
Is that the armband that lets you know?
Do we have an armband here? I think we do. Pretty sure we do. You'll see that there are people not wear armbands. So just like a slip and fall, they usually have a fall precautions armband, but everybody doesn't wear their armband. Just like I said, people don't always wear their armband with their admittance on.
What would be a reason why a patient would have DNR?
Remember, we talked about that last chapter when we were talking about ethics, and we're talking about advanced directives, meaning that they may have a disease or they're going through, like maybe, you know, some people going through chemo or something, and they just say, I don't want chemo anymore. That person may be DNR. They may want. My show ended last night, guys. My show I've been watching, Designated Survivor, and one of the lady's mom had a DNR, and she wanted to do the assisted suicide, which is legal in Washington D.C. Assisted suicide, and her daughter had to do the assisted suicide for her, and so after her daughter like mixed up the drink or whatever, because her mom was dying, she gave her the drink. Her mom ended up dying. She still ended up calling. She knew her mom didn't want to be resuscitated. Her mom wanted to die. She still called the hospital. The ambulance came, picked her up, and started life support. And they're screaming at her, "Does she have a DNR?" And she's crying, and then she finally says yes, and they stopped. So I was like, man, how fitting is that happened last night, and then I come here and I'm talking about it. It's crazy. But yeah, my show ended last night, so on to the next one. All right. So, real quick, guys, summary of this chapter. This chapter listed many unexpected medical situations that challenge your abilities to provide adequate patient care. Many patients enter our department in a weakened state, which is why we must be capable of recognizing emergent situations, because we have the ability to save someone's life. You know, every second matters. All of the time that you're observing it matters. So if you see a patient, go down in their awareness during your exam, or go down in their health during your exam, make sure you get help for that person. So if there's two things that you learned about this chapter as far as application to the clinic. Never leave a patient alone who is in emergency treatment. That's if you read the chapter, that's after every single situation, medical emergency. Never leave the patient alone who needs emergency treatment, and never fail to ask for help when emergencies arise. Okay, because it's something it's a team effort. It's a group deal. It's not just a one individual thing. So if anything you take from the chapter, take those two things from the chapter into the clinic, right there. Okay.
And it also says make a note of the time and then the assistance
That you call.
provided.
Definitely. Like I said, that's why I said don't leave the area. You say for instance, I got all the help I need there, and they don't need me. That don't mean you leave and start working on the next patient, because they're gonna have questions. That's why it's important to know the time that you call the code, and to know what called that patient to code. Like if you notice the patient was okay and then something happened, they just started shallow breathing out of nowhere, then you're gonna have to note that.
Note
That's
means
why-
like you have to write down what happened.
It
or-
depends. They may have somebody that take notes from you. They may have you fill out an incident report yourself.
Okay.
Right. So it just depends on the facility. But guys, any questions over medical emergencies? No? Okay, let's keep it moving. Keep it moving.